Yo, this is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And our sponsors are Alpha Claims and Hire Birmingham, the leading and best accident management company. Get a replacement car anywhere in 1 hour. This story involves Encrochat. Thank you to everyone that's watched all our coverage on Encrochat. We've got nearly 1 million views easily on them videos. This story comes from Coventry but also involves Birmingham as well. So it's a West Midlands based story. The police believe they have prevented at least one murder in the Birmingham area from raids that they've done in connection to hacking Encrochat Messenger. West Midlands and Warwickshire police, working together, used the Encrochat messages to determine that a murder plot was being hatched. Detectives revealed they foiled the plot days away from actually being acted out. And this was all thanks to them infiltrating the criminal phone network known as Encrochat. The planned gangland killing was among 25 threats to life that were busted by the NCA, the National Crime Agency, and other forces in the West Midlands. When they say threats to life, they mean Osman warnings. And I got our friend the London lawyer to explain a few details about what an Osman warning is.
Today I'd like to talk to you about a very interesting topic, and that is an Osman warning. An Osman warning is a warning of death threats or risk of murder issued by the police or local authority to a potential victim. The name itself comes from Ali Osman, a London businessman who was brutally murdered in 1988 by Paul Paget Lewis. Following on from this, in 1998, the Osman family sued the British government on the premise that the police had acknowledged clear warning signs that Paget posed a real and serious threat to the physical and personal safety of Osman. They successfully argued in the European Court of Human Rights that the police had breached their duty to Osman's right to life by failing to deal with the threat. An Osman warning is issued where there is clear intelligence of one's life being in real and imminent danger. However, there is not enough evidence to justify arresting the alleged perpetrator at that stage. It's effectively used to manipulate the behaviour of the potential victim to protect them from any future harm. If you or anybody else requires any expert legal advice, please don't hesitate to reach out.
These operations were carried out by the National Crime Agency, West Midlands Police, and also the Regional Organised Crime Unit, also known as ROCU, as part of the operation that we covered earlier on, called Operation Venetic. Detective Chief Superintendent Richard Baker said there was multiple threats to life investigations in the West Midlands area, and they are still finding out cases now. They have prevented at least one murder after the NCA hacked the encrypted messages and used by a lot of criminals to carry out activity. They also said they identified a suspect from an attempted murder that took place in Birmingham. The individual was arrested in London as a result of the interception and the telecommunication and text messages. They have arrested another person also for that attempted murder. The attempted murder involved the shooting in Birmingham, where a man was shot multiple times but survived. A suspect was later arrested and charged. The massive UK-wide operation led to 774 arrests as well. And check out our previous coverage on that if you want to know detail of them cases. They also say they prevented several kidnappings that were going to take place in the West Midlands. And they have certainty about that from the messages that they intercepted. They believe they've saved 200 lives that was in danger, and the NCA-led operation has saved countless lives. They've recovered 230 kilos of cocaine and took out serious gang members that were distributing large amounts of Class A drugs. And on the Coventry side of things, they found a Scorpion submachine gun in an earlier raid in the city as well, with a loaded magazine and additional bullets that was recovered in the operation. And in other raids related to it, a woman was arrested with a firearm in the Yardley area of Birmingham, and also found a cash counting house in the West Midlands in a raid in June by the NCA. They found £1.6 million in used banknotes. A further search of a car led to 2 kilos of cocaine and 56 grand in cash. 2 people were arrested in connection with that. ROCU carried out months of work across the West Midlands and a law enforcement agency, and they worked together with other agencies to crack the mobile phone communication network, which they believe was used by at least 10,000 people in the UK. They say it was for coordinating and planning illicit distribution of drugs, money, and plotting to kill rival criminals. So I thought this story was very interesting, and I'd like to hear what everyone's opinions are and thoughts on the latest arrests in relation to Encrochat in the UK. And staying in Coventry for another story. This story goes back to 2017. They've only just been jailed last month. 2 men and a teenager have been sentenced for a kidnapping and robbery where a man was tasered in Coventry. They pleaded guilty at Warwick Crown Court to the offences, and the offence was linked to a house party in the Radford area in October of that year. Sean Kanyao from Falls Hill told a woman who attended the party that she owed him money for the food and drink that had been purchased. She told her partner and they agreed to hand over £30 at the end of the month. They thought they could give Kanyao a quick bank transfer, but he insisted on meeting them at the flat in Radford. When he arrived, the couple that were both aged 19 were told to deactivate their location settings on their phone as they handed over the money. The alleged debt didn't end there, and Arbaz Shauran, also from the same area, told them that they were going for a long drive to be taught a lesson. Shauran took the man in his Audi A3 back to his home address before using a taser all over his body and hitting him with a steering lock before knocking him out. The group of men then stripped the man naked and threw eggs and flour on him. They stole jewellery and a PlayStation 4 to make up for the debt that didn't even exist. They forced the man to go to the cash point and take out more money. The man fell down in an alleyway and they stubbed cigarettes out on his body and stamped on him. After the ordeal, an alleged gun was pointed at his head. The man and the woman were simply dropped off at the home address and confusingly given their PlayStation back. The next day, on the 30th of October 2017, Shawan unexpectedly turned up to the flat and threatened them and told them what would happen if they didn't cooperate. He tasered the man and bizarrely took the PlayStation back and said it was because they told people what happened the night before. A 15-year-old boy at the time was arrested and his support worker called the police in relation to information about a kidnap and false imprisonment. Both Kanyao and Shawan were also identified by the victim following an identification parade. Last week, 24-year-old Sean Kanyao was sentenced to 10 years and 5 months in prison, and he pled guilty to robbery, kidnap and false imprisonment, and 2 of his accomplices as well did admit that and got 9 years. The detective in charge of the case said it was a shocking example of a sustained attack on 2 people that didn't do nothing wrong. They were hounded, harassed and humiliated, and he hopes that the prison sentence is a big deterrent and also a comfort to the victims. So it's a very shocking story to come from Coventry, but I'd like to hear what people's opinions are on both of the stories featured in this episode. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe, and send all your stories over to us on social media as well. And don't forget you can @ us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Peace.